I can't speak for Senator McConnell, but I would like to see him bring the House-passed bills to the Senate floor. We could reopen much of government where there's no dispute over issues involving certain departments like ag, transportation, housing, interior. Let's get those reopened while the negotiations continue.
It's not just Senator Susan Collins. Fellow GOP senators, here they are, Cory Gardner, Tom Tillis, Lamar Alexander, Pat Roberts, have also called for the shutdown to end while border negotiations continue. Indeed, Pelosi and Schumer want to pass bills that open the government in a piecemeal fashion. If it sounds like a coalition there, perhaps, but it's very important to note all of those senators are either up in 2020 or leaving the place in their rear-view mirrors. Politico reports Republican lawmakers in the House have one number in mind, 55. Quote, that many Republican defections, coupled with all House Democrats, would reach 290, that's 290 yes votes, a veto-proof majority. House Democrats can't overcome Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's refusal to bring up their bills, but such a vote would signal the House can override a Trump veto, a major blow to the president and his allies. Who best to talk about this than Rick Wilson, a proud Floridian, proud never-Trumper. He's a veteran Republican strategist whose views about the president are perhaps best encapsulated by the title of his book, Everything Trump Touches Dies. Welcome back to our studio. What I just said there, that kind of a coalition makes. Do you mind what the motives are behind the members, as long as there are, let's call them common sense members who say, let's get this show on the road?
Well, I think they're starting to act out of the base political response that they understand that this is hurting them, that they're up for a re-election or their legacies are up for judgment, and they know that the shutdown is hurting. And they know that we're about to hit the point where the economic statistics for January get recorded, and they're worried they're going to take the blame for a market crash that comes out of a shutdown that continues to cause all this economic disruption. They're worried that the whole Republican Party has been redefined as having a fight over a stupid wall that will never be built. And they're taking all the political damage from this. And so that coalition may be expanding. It may be larger than we know at this point. But those folks are all more of the problem-solving centrist type of Republicans that seem to be in short supply in Washington today. But they're reacting. They're having a natural political reaction to this.
What can happen if the president declares a national emergency? I don't want to lump you in my generation, but people in our approximate age grew up knowing from national emergency, sure, especially if you were born during the Cold War.
He has the right to declare a national emergency. But it is going to be one more thing where Trump has destroyed a guardrail. He's destroyed another standard that we don't want to destroy. He's done one more thing that breaks down the boundaries of executive power, which conservatives used to say that they were very, very interested in making sure the executive didn't have too much power, especially with Barack Obama, if you recall. Mm-hmm. But the scope of what he can actually accomplish in terms of constructing the wall and using resources and money for it is much more narrow from my reading of the situation than this sort of magical thinking that's going on inside the Trump White House right now, where I can declare it and I get $25 billion and there's a wall.
I want to read something I put in front of you, and that's Robert Costa's last tweet. Mr. Costa has been doing by Twitter thread what is as good as a top-ranking newspaper article as any. My top Trump administration sources say they see little downside to going all out now on the wall. Rallies their voters, tests the mettle of the Democrats, gives POTUS a chance to be seen as fighting on his signature issue ahead of a likely rough year of probes and battles with House Democrats. This is not your first rodeo, and I have watched you on television debating this topic and saying flatly to some of your fellow Republicans, there's not going to be a wall. Mexico's not going to pay for it. There's not going to be a fence. You can't even get the right of ways you need for the property. So what does this president's position not get, and how does he get out of this?
Well, he has trapped himself in the worst political box canyon I've ever seen. There is no chance he's going to go along the border and using eminent domain build this fantasy wall. We've all known it from the beginning. We've all known this was part of a big con by this president of a part of his base that are credulous and that believe that there's actually going to be a physical barrier and that's going to change their lives and stop the brown horde or whatever it is they think. Donald Trump has to submit in this thing. He has to give it up. He has to walk back from it. Now, that's very difficult for him to do because this was the definitional promise of his campaign. But there is no option. If the Democrats hold their line, and I think they've got every motivation to do so, and I think Nancy Pelosi's House coalition is absolutely rock solid on this. If Chuck Schumer holds firm, there's nothing Donald Trump can do. And shutting down the government, he can't tweet his way out of the economic damage it starts to do. He can't go on Fox enough times and talk to Sean enough times to make this go away. These are actual damages that the economy is accruing because of a shutdown that he said he would take credit for, that he caused, that he created, and that he sustains.
What about the down ballot damage to your line of work, your life's work, that's going to result from this? Perhaps you saw the results of the last midterms and how many Democrats came out. What about the damage this could be sowing?
Well, look, we're going into a 2020 election season that's pretty much already underway. Not only at the presidential level, but in the Senate level, and the congressional races will start to come into shape pretty soon. This climate, if we cause this economic damage to the stock market and to the economy more broadly and employment figures more broadly, this damage will ramify out across the next year and a half. And so Republicans will go into 2020 and it will make 2018 look like a picnic. And they've got one person to blame for this and one person to point to for this, and it's Donald Trump. And this idea that you're going to wish it away or tweet it away is just pure fantasy.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.